You know, it's kind of weird. To be perfectly honest, I almost feel unqualified to talk about this game. I wasn't even a year old when the original Donkey Kong Country came out in 1994. As you may or may not already know, I didn't start playing video games until well into the Nintendo 64 era, so by that time, the original Donkey Kong Country trilogy had already come and gone. I did play a short sample of Donkey Kong Country Returns on the Wii, but not enough of it to really form much of an opinion on it outside of, it's hard. Like, really fucking hard. And then Tropical Freeze came around. Having no personal attachment to this franchise, I was about ready to let this one pass me by too. But in the end, that didn't happen. I bought the game and played it for myself, and it gave me a unique experience unlike any other I've personally ever had with a game. I'm so glad I took that plunge, and it's all thanks to my good friend cjszero01, to whom this video is dedicated. CJ is one of the biggest DKC fans I know. I can't think of anyone who has anywhere near as much love, passion, and dedication for this series than him. He built his channel on game reviews, countdowns, and other game-related content, and when it came time for Tropical Freeze's release, he put out an entire week's worth of videos in tribute to the original 3 games, and built up to his big review of the game he had anticipated so much. And when I watched that review, I was blown away. It's becoming somewhat rare these days to see someone express such enthusiasm, such ardor for a single video game. CJ poured so much of his heart and soul into that review that I couldn't help but feel inspired. He wanted as many people to play this game as possible so they can enjoy it just as much as he did, if not more. And in the end, I was one of those people he reached. Long story short, CJ and I struck a deal. I'm going to make this video for him discussing Tropical Freeze to help his cause, and he'll do a video for me that I've requested in the future. What that video is, you'll have to wait and see. But I get all kinds of video requests all the time, so why did I take CJ up on his offer here? It wasn't just because I consider him a good friend, and it wasn't just as a way of saying thank you for convincing me to play Tropical Freeze myself. It was also because when I played this game, I found my own perspective of enjoying it. I found something unique for me to say about it. The pieces had pretty much fallen perfectly into place. However, as I mentioned before, I have almost zero history with the Donkey Kong Country franchise. I wasn't old enough to really get into gaming yet when the original 3 games were new on the market. So any enjoyment I could possibly have with this game has absolutely nothing to do with nostalgia. I have nothing to really compare it to, so I have no choice but to look at this game objectively for what it is. And what it is something simply spectacular. For the longest time, I was a strong believer that graphics do not automatically make a game good, and a game can still be good even if it isn't the prettiest. I always said that if you want the most realistic visuals possible, go outside, because that's as real as it's ever going to get. And I thought it was stupid for people to want games to get more and more realistic looking when the best possible visuals already existed, if we just turned the TV off. So I almost feel kind of hypocritical when I praise a game for its visuals, acting like they're suddenly important, and being good makes the game that much better. But it would be a crime to just ignore how beautiful Tropical Freeze looks. Really, all of the biggest games on Wii U have classic franchises looking better than they ever have before, thanks to the more powerful hardware, and Donkey Kong is no exception. Heck, a lot of people initially complained that Tropical Freeze didn't look much better than Country Returns, but Returns was on the standard definition Wii. Tropical Freeze is in HD on the Wii U. Just compare them, trust me, there's a noticeable difference. I hate to spend so much time talking about the visuals, and I will always believe that good gameplay is the most important aspect of any video game. But it certainly does not hurt when a game plays good and looks as good as Tropical Freeze does while doing it. For a side-scroller, the worlds in Tropical Freeze are absolutely massive and diverse. Each and every level is crammed with so much detail. There are so many things moving, exploding, falling, flying, and chasing you on screen at a time, and at a breakneck pace, that it's actually almost distracting. I'm not even kidding. Half of my total deaths in this game come from me either getting distracted by something in the environment and making a mistake as a result, or falling to my doom because I couldn't tell where the next platform was. That might sound like a design flaw, but I actually kind of find that to be really funny and clever. The background and foreground blend together so fluently that Even though you're really only moving in one direction the majority of the time, the levels just feel so alive and so much grander in scale to explore than they actually are. With the plethora of colors, detail, and polish, it's a marvelous illusion to say the least. And really, that leads into what I really want to talk about with Tropical Freeze: the difficulty. I am by no means an expert at games, nor am I a beginner. I've been gaming for a long time. I enjoy a nice challenge every once in a while, and even when I do reach excruciatingly hard segments in games, I can usually clear them fairly easily if I practice and give the game enough of my time and patience. And that's why Tropical Freeze really clicked with me, because you need to do just that in order to beat it. If you watch gameplay of Tropical Freeze and think it's easy, it's not. You can't just breeze through absolutely everything on your first try. Granted, some people won't have as much trouble with the game as others, depending on your skill level, but the game demands that you take the time to learn how it works, practice at it, and perfect it in order to progress. You are going to die. A lot. And there's a ton of trial and error to it. But the beauty of it is that it's rewarding when you finally beat that level that you've been struggling with for an hour and a half. The game never holds your hand, nor does it ever feel unfair or impossible. Every time I missed a jump, I knew it was because I didn't time it right. Every time I ran into something, it's because I hadn't yet trained myself to anticipate it. It never feels like it's the game's fault when I die. In fact, I was always motivated to try just one more time because there was something in the back of my head telling me that I could make that jump next time if I just tried it one more time. And once you get through a tough segment, it just feels so great to know that you beat the level because you earned it. You did what was required of you and you did it perfectly. Either you learned the pattern or the timing or your reflexes were on point or whatever. The point is that no matter how many tries it takes, when you clear a level, it will be because you did a perfect run through those tough segments that tripped you up before. Never has it felt this good to reach the end of a level in a game for me, and it's like that for the entire game. With Mario games, the challenge doesn't really come in until post-game, and that has always just felt sort of lazy to me. And Tropical Freeze does have post-game levels and alternate paths with levels that are more difficult too. But if you're just trying to clear the game and follow the main path, you'll do it when you've devoted yourself enough to the cause. Games can be pretty boring if they're too easy, but what fun is it if they're unfairly difficult either? Tropical Freeze strikes an absolutely perfect balance in this spectrum, and that is why I love this game so much. I haven't even seen or done everything in it yet outside of the main campaign, and it has already left me short of breath. I wouldn't know if this rewarding difficulty was present in the previous Donkey Kong Country titles because I didn't play them. Maybe I will someday if I can climb over this mountain of games I need to play, but that's something for the future. I know it really feels like I haven't even talked much about this game here, but I don't really know what else to say. I mean, I'm not a longtime fan, so I can't give you any historical background or comparisons to what has changed from previous games. And as a standalone game, it looks great, the controls are spot on, it plays phenomenally well, and the soundtrack is so good that if Nintendo ever released an official CD soundtrack for this game, I would probably buy like 10 copies. It's just so damn good. But really, this isn't a review for the longtime fans. If you're a series veteran, you probably already know what to expect gameplay-wise, and are really just looking to see what's different and what's the same this time around. Heck, I'd recommend you go watch cjszero01's review of Tropical Freeze. He's a longtime fan, and he does this game more justice than I ever could dream to do. But if you're in the same boat as I was and have never played a DKC game before, I just wanted to share with you my personal experience with this game, and explain why it stood out for me personally. And I highly recommend it to any and all Wii U owners. You absolutely need to play Tropical Freeze. It will punish you a lot, but when you finally conquer it, it gives you a feeling that I haven't felt from finishing a game in a long time. If Mario's games have left you wanting something more, Donkey Kong just might deliver.